day to be together here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I was in the Executive 14 class of Leadership Lincoln, and I've been forever grateful for that. And I'll be the master of ceremonies this morning. We've got a great program lined up for you today, and we're going to meet some people. We're going to say hello, we're going to say thank you, and then we're going to have some speeches, and then I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll go about our business today. That's my job this morning. We'll be hearing about the mayor's vision for the city of Lincoln, and we appreciate all of you taking your time to come and be with us this morning as we celebrate this great community and all of the great things that are going on. Before we start the program, some folks we need to thank. First off, Jonathan Leach for providing the music this morning. Jonathan, is he? Give him a nice round of applause. Where'd he go? Jonathan, thank you. We all appreciated that very much. We'd also like to thank our event sponsor this morning, Emmanuel Communities, for their support of this event and Leadership Lincoln again this year. Additional support has been provided by Southeast Community College. Please join me in thanking both of these sponsors for their commitment to the community and the breakfast. I would also ask that you give a nice round of applause to the staff here at Embassy Suites. This is a great place to hold an event. They're a wonderful group of people. Would you give them your thanks, please? We need to thank our table sponsors this morning who are listed in the program. All of these folks are supporters of Leadership Lincoln and support many of the programs and causes and events throughout the community. They are the usual suspects, I like to call them. We're grateful for their continued support of this event and all they do. Please thank our table sponsors today. There are several dignitaries in the audience this morning and some non-dignitaries as well. We'll recognize the dignitaries, if you don't mind. Joining us today are many elected officials from the unicameral, City Council, the Lancaster County Commissioners, the Lincoln Public Schools, the Board of Education, and other offices. Would you, Representative, please stand, and we will thank you for your community service. Takes a lot of brass. If you're an elected official, please stand. Thank you very much. Nicely done, all. So there is another major event happening tomorrow, the 2019 Inspire Awards, and many of us will be in attendance at that event. There are many nominees joining us today. Would all of you who are 2019 Inspire Award nominees please stand, and we will congratulate you for your inspirational ways. Would you please stand if you're an inspirational leader tomorrow, please? Thank you, guys. Thank you, and we'll see you all tomorrow and look forward to that event. Excused from school today are many of the principals from the participating high schools in Youth Leadership Lincoln 23. Joining us are from Lincoln East High, Sue Casada, Mark Larson from Lincoln High, Ryan Zabawa from North Star, Carrie Appleby from Northeast, Brent Tolson from Southeast, Dan Hohensee from the Career Academy, and from Norris High School, Nate Segerman. Would you give them all a nice round of applause, please? Now, in a few moments, we'll be hearing from Mayor Lirian Gaylor Baird. Mayor Lirian and her team, please stand and let us thank you all for lining this up this morning and doing this work. Jennifer Brinkman's here, a bunch of folks. Diane Gonzalez is here. Would you give them a nice round of applause, please? Good group, huh, Your Honor? Excellent group. Leadership Lincoln would not be able to make the impact it does without the dedicated efforts, the staff and volunteers who support the agency's mission and initiatives. Would the Leadership Lincoln staff and board of directors, past and present, please stand and be recognized? Please stand. Thank you. And last but not least, the volunteers that do the heavy lifting on a program such as this, because there's a lot of lifting to do. Will the State of the City Planning Committee please stand, and will you join me in thanking them for their efforts for pulling this event together? Would you guys please stand if you had a part in planning this event? And finally, last but not least, if you haven't been recognized yet, would you please stand, and please stand if we haven't recognized you. Is there anyone here who hasn't been recognized? Nick? Have you been recognized already? Okay, you're in. All right. So at this point in the program, we'd like to take a look at the history of Lincoln. I'd like to take you back to 1856.
Come on, Randy. State of the City is about to start.
Wait,
Got to get
Maggie,
up there.
Randy, got a program going here.
I still don't understand why there's an event for this.
Yeah, Maggie, Stuckey, and Randy Hawthorne, ladies and gentlemen.
And I certainly don't understand why you gave me a playlist called State of the City 2019, hashtag LNK, Life is Right, Rocket Sister Girlfriend.
Randy, it's a playlist for the State of the City. What's weird about that? For the record, it's a lot better than the Democratic presidential debate playlist you made in the summer. That's
Now,
so weird.
calm down, Leslie No. I think you're a little too excited for this event. Wow. Why are all these people here?
It's the State of the City, Randy. They're all here to hear from the mayor. It's a really big deal.
What do you mean? They are here for the State of the City.
Yeah.
No one really knows the state of the city at this point?
Right. No one knows the state of the city except for the mayor. And actually, I bet Jennifer Brinkman knows the state. I don't know.
Seriously, none of these people know the state.
Well, no, not exactly. I mean, we're all here to hear from the mayor what the state of the city is. I mean, I can look around the city and see certain signs of the city, but no one really knows. I bought this shirt at the merch table.
This is unreal. There are signs all over the city about the state. Literally all over. I probably passed by 100 of them on the way here.
I guess philosophically that's true. The state of the city can be seen everywhere.
And by philosophically, you mean obviously.
Well, sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not so obvious. You can see the state of our city in our businesses and schools, in parks and in stores. The state of the city can be seen in investments in our core neighborhoods, repairing roads, a growing economy.
At Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little less obvious there, but I suppose you could see the state at Memorial.
You're serious? You think it's less obvious, the state at Memorial Stadium?
Randy, I don't understand what you don't get about this. All these people are here to hear the state of the city from the mayor. City council members, county commissioners, students. I see Benny. He has no idea what's going on. They're all here to hear from the mayor, the state.
Right. They don't know the state of the city.
Right.
So is there like going to be a big reveal? Is the mayor going to drop down a big sign with the name of our state on it? Hey, maybe there's a flyover or the Wiener Schlinger. Or here's a good idea. Maybe we have the marching band, since they are the pride of all the state.
That's a great idea. I actually don't know what's about to happen, but that's why we have the playlist to get really pumped up. We're going to find out the state of the city. Let's listen to it.
Okay. This is hilarious.
It is.
But your excitement is really starting to rub off on me. Let's take a look at this playlist.
Okay. What do we got? Yep.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
Yes, Randy, yes.
But seriously, why are we here?
Okay, so I don't know if this is true. I heard Scott Young is double booked this morning, and they needed a 3-minute kind of delay so he could go introduce someone next door. I actually heard it's the state of Nebraska. I don't know.
Ha ha! Ha ha! Did you try the soup?
I still don't get that joke, Randy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Leadership Lincoln Board of Directors President Brendan Evans.
Hello and welcome. I am honored to be here today to introduce the next classes of Leadership Lincoln. I've lived on both coasts and in the mountains, and I can say unequivocally that Lincoln is an exceptional place to be. We moved back to Lincoln because the place that it is, excellent schools, engaged community, a place where you can raise a family and grow a business. When I reflected on why that was, I understood that it's because of the unique part of Lincoln called Leadership Lincoln. In most communities, the leadership organization is tied to the chamber. In Lincoln, Leadership Lincoln is tied to the community. We are connected to the chamber, connected with the city, engaged by the people. And all of these people go out that participate in Leadership Lincoln, and they do good works that make our city the kind of place where we want to be. They serve in all of these nonprofits and city organizations and leadership across our community and for our state. Works that might not be recognized in the paper or on TV, but they are the lifeblood of Lincoln, serving at every capacity in our community. This is the 35th year of Leadership Lincoln. That's 35 years of this organization making change in Lincoln. And that's extraordinary. We've been blessed with great leadership throughout the history of Leadership Lincoln. Dean Finnegan led the way. Mick Hale is doing a fantastic job and continue to bring the community together. So I was going to open with a joke, but we had Randy up here instead, and that was much superior.
Hold it. Are you talking about me now, Brandon?
But, the joke was, how many Leadership Lincoln alumni does it take to change a light bulb? And it's one. It takes one to stand up and serve the community and change the light bulb. And 5 to form a committee to organize a panel discussion. And 80 to come to the panel discussion and hear about how light bulbs are important in our community and they keep us all safe. And it takes 3,500 that help move our city forward and keep us well lighted for the future, I guess. But Leadership Lincoln really does touch our community in so many ways. This is the 35th year of helping Lincoln grow. We're going to grow into the next 35 years. This year is going to be an exciting year for Leadership Lincoln. We will be reaching out and asking all of you to help continue to move Lincoln forward as we look into the future and grow our community. We're all in this together. It takes a community to move forward. And that's why Lincoln is an exceptional city. We all step up. So let's recognize the participants this year and move forward with the program. First, I'd like to have stand up Fellows 35, the 35th class of Leadership Lincoln Fellows. Stand up and be recognized. Thank you for your service. Next, I would like the Executives 32 to stand up and be recognized. Thank you for your service. Next, can I have the Youth Leadership Lincoln participants, Class 23, stand up? And finally, can I have the Advocate cohort stand up? 13th year. Welcome and thank you for joining us. Now, just one brief exercise. I've always wanted to go through Lincoln and make like one of these YouTube videos. It's super engaging where you find all the people who have been involved with Leadership Lincoln. So briefly, if you have been in Leadership Lincoln Fellows, stand up. Be recognized, remain standing. If you have participated in the executive series or are a current participant, stand up, be recognized. If you were in Youth Leadership Lincoln or had a child participate in Youth Leadership Lincoln, stand up. And if you are alumni of the Advocate or Project All program, stand up and be recognized. And if you know someone who's been in Leadership Lincoln, stand up. That'd be all of us.
Brendan, thank you. And let's give a nice round of applause to Randy and Maggie for their efforts. You guys, thanks for being with us this morning. Her Honor, Lyrian Gaylor Baird, was elected the 52nd mayor of Lincoln on May 7th, 2019. Mayor Gaylor Baird previously served as an at-large member of the Lincoln City Council for 6 years, during which time she was recognized locally and nationally for her work. In 2016, Mayor Gaylor Baird received the Inspire Award for Excellence in Government Service and was one of 24 state and local elected officials from across the country awarded a Rodell Fellowship in Public Leadership by the Aspen Institute. In 2014, she was selected as one of 12 leaders from across the country to join the New Deal, a national network of pro-growth state and local elected leaders. Prior to becoming an elected official, Mayor Gaylor Baird served on the Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Commission, and she tells me that she and her husband, Scott, who is here with us this morning, Scott, nice to have you. They have 3 children, all of whom agree, a rare occurrence, she notes, that she is the embarrassing parent in the family. See, you got a promotion there, Scott, so good job. Please welcome the Honorable Lyrian Gaylor Baird, Mayor of the City of Lincoln.
I was a chubby 17-month-old toddler when my sister Allison was born. We were close in age, but often worlds apart. I always had my nose in a library book, while Allison was busy practicing her cartwheels and splits. I tried to fit in, wearing popular painter pant jeans, with my rainbow belt and a comb tucked in my back pocket. Allison fought to wear her flower print light yellow pajama dress to school. I followed the rules. She snuck out of the house. Can you guess who was more fun? We bickered a lot and over stupid stuff, like who got to sit behind our mom in the car, and who got to be Electrowoman and who had to be Dinah Girl. Anyone remember them? About why she always followed me and my friends around. And I always thought that I knew better than her, and I constantly tried to tell her the right way to do things. Our dad once jokingly asked Allison, "How does it feel to have 3 parents?" I didn't understand then how annoying I must have been, but I totally get it now. I worked really hard to keep my little sister at a distance. I craved that distance. That was pretty tricky because we shared a bedroom, we shared clothes, we shared a dog, we shared the same fish stick dinners. We even had to share the Walkman. Looking back, I realized it was my own insecurity about being compared to her, about being liked less than her, that made it hard for me to nurture and embrace our relationship. And when I really thought deep and dug down and thought about our childhood, I remembered one simple element that countered some of this and that brought us together: music. Music was the magic balm for our complicated relationship. How does music neutralize sibling rivalry? Well, our parents were teachers and they left for work early in the morning. They'd wake up, make breakfast, and then head out the door. Guess who assumed responsibility for making sure Allison and I got up and got dressed and got out the door on time? Well, because I was such a stickler about that, we were almost always running ahead of schedule. And that meant we had time to put an album on the turntable. And we'd sing and dance to the soundtracks of Grease or Saturday Night Fever. On weekends at the roller rink, we would weave in and out of each other to Xanadu by Olivia Newton-John. Yeah, I really put that in the State of the City. When I would drive us to high school, we put the top down on our red Volkswagen convertible Bug. And as our ponytails bobbed in the breeze, we'd drive to school belting out Janet Jackson's Miss You Much. When I was a graduate student, Allison took me to my first Michael Franti concert. And while we live in different cities now, we've used his concerts as excuses to get together. And on one of Allison's recent trips to Lincoln, we took turns with the tambourine on the dance floor of the Old Pub Soul Club. Allison and I were really different as children, and as adults, we still are. Music, however, has been a thread in the complicated fabric of our relationship. It's also helped smooth out the snags. It's connected us and helped us to coexist long before I was able to appreciate our differences and wise enough to accept that I will never be as cool as my little sister. What is it about music that bridges the divides between us, that joins people together? There's actual neuroscience behind this, but to me, it feels like magic. Imagine sitting in a concert hall, listening to a symphony, and being carried away on the high notes of the string section, or being startled by the thunder of a kettle drum. Imagine being pressed into a crowded concert at the dance floor with the music booming so loud that the bass reverberates in your chest, and you can't help but start dancing with the people in the room. The performers and the audience have one thing in common. They are all present and part of a shared experience. Music lifts us from ourselves, out of our minds and our cares, and into the minds and experiences of others. That magic connection that music gives us is just what our society needs more of right now. A universal language that allows us to empathize with one another and to coexist, particularly when words fail us or are used to divide rather than unite us. If I Will Survive or We Will Rock You came on right now, wouldn't you at least start bobbing your head? That magic, that undeniable and unintentional connection that exists among us when we hear anthems like this, or the Husker Tunnel Walk song, or when we hear and dance to the Cupid Shuffle. This is a magic that exists in Lincoln. No matter where you were born or how you got here, no matter your zip code or your genetic code, if you're a first child or a wild child, no matter whom you love or how you identify, whether you're a little bit country or a little bit rock and roll, we all call Lincoln home. We have different experiences, different educations, different occupations, and different opinions. But we are bound together by geography and by a set of similar circumstances that we know as life in Lincoln. My sister Allison and I, we did not choose to grow up together, but we learned to accept each other's quirks and differences. Here in the city of Lincoln, it's not so different. We are constantly learning and adjusting and evolving as we share a city that is literally and figuratively growing up. Lincoln is growing upward and outward, and not only with the exciting high-rise developments that you see downtown, but with new housing, new stores, new offices, and new entertainment in each corner of the city. You see it when a new building crane appears in the skyline, or you hear what band is playing at the arena next. Or you feel it when you bike on one of our newest trails, or when you read about the latest startup, or hear what top 10 list we've just made. Our city's growth and momentum are no accident. As a community, we have been composing the verses of our success with intentional planning, partnerships, and strategic investments in our future. These verses of success, they're born of our city's shared priorities that are the version of a bridge in a song, a link, a segue. And just as music neurologically and magically connects strangers at a concert, these shared priorities connect the seemingly disparate elements of the Lincoln community and bind us as a collective. So what are Lincoln's shared priorities? We prioritize a safe community. Even as we push up against the 300,000 population mark, our fire and rescue services continue to maintain one of the highest cardiac survival rates in the nation. According to the FBI, Lincoln has 33% less violent crime per population than the average U.S. city of similar size. Impressively, this priority we place on public safety doesn't stop at our city limits, as was crystal clear during the recent floods that devastated communities across our state. Our local first responders and the members who comprised Task Force 1 performed daring and successful rescues of people and pets who were trapped by the raging, freezing cold floodwaters of the Platte. Lincoln's contribution to Nebraska's strong flood relief efforts should be a source of pride to us all. We also prioritize ensuring that the foundations of our city are strong and resilient for future generations. So we invest in the underpinnings of our community. The evidence is in the asphalt in our streets, in the water flowing in the mains beneath them, and in the high-speed internet coursing to homes and businesses. In April, voters reaffirmed our commitment to the streets, and because of that investment, beginning next year, we expect to be able to resurface residential streets for the next 6 years. That's more than 300 blocks annually per year. And after the worst flooding event in our state's history, we successfully kept water flowing to Lincoln homes, despite the damage to our wells, some of which were even shut down. We are now working to rebuild those wells. And through a significant public-private partnership, we now boast a fiber-to-the-home network across our city that makes Lincoln one of only 25 smart gigabit communities in the United States, and the 6th fastest internet city among top US cities, giving businesses and residents all that the digital age has to offer. More visible are our investments in children. Lincoln supports a strong public school system that in 2018 boasted a jaw-dropping 86.5% high school graduation rate. All of these and more form the strong foundation on which we build the good life here in Lincoln. A third shared priority is that good life, and we want everyone in our city to experience it. As our city grows, we are attracting new people and new residents because of the rich quality of life we enjoy here in Lincoln. Whether that's spending time in a park, which for 91% of our residents is only a 10-minute walk from home, or checking out a good book or downloading an audiobook from our city libraries, which has happened 3 million times already this year, our quality of life matters to us. And others are noticing. Lincoln was once again ranked second in the country for communities with the best work-life balance. We were rated second in the country for the best city to raise a family. And we were recently selected as one of 8 communities in the country for a grant from the World Education Services that will help immigrant and refugee populations transfer the credentials they earned in their native countries here in the US so they can put their existing skills to work in Lincoln. This is great news as we seek to ensure that all of our residents live the good life. Many hardworking, talented, and dedicated people have played an important part in shaping our community's priorities and successes. Let's take a moment now to acknowledge and appreciate some of those remarkable individuals who help carry the tune of Lincoln. Would members of the Lincoln City Council please stand when I call your name? Councilman James Michael Bowers, Councilman Roy Christensen, Councilman Richard McGinnis, Councilwoman Jane Raybould, Councilman Benny Shobe, Councilwoman Tammy Ward, and Councilwoman Sandra Washington. Let's thank our City Council. And I know you've been recognized already, but would the other elected officials, both current and former elected officials, would you please stand so that we can thank you for your service to Lincoln? I see you, Carl. I'd also ask that all of the brilliant city department directors and their staff, if any are here, as well as my amazing team from the mayor's office, would you please stand and let us thank you for your service to us each and every day. And thanks as well to Leadership Lincoln and to all of the business and community leaders in this room and future leaders. You are such crucial and cherished partners. Now, it is important to recognize that our city's successes have been orchestrated not only by those of us in this room or at City Hall or across the community today, but by the generations who came before us. Think about those who nearly 100 years ago had the foresight to go to Ashland and build our well fields so that their children and their children's children could have safe, clean drinking water. Quite literally, we all drink from wells that we did not dig. Our urban tree canopy, our state capitol, our vibrant institutions of higher learning, and our public schools. All of these are the products of the thoughtful, forward-looking vision for this city that was created by those who felt the magic cohesion of shared priorities long before we arrived. Now, it's our turn. We all carry that same responsibility to shape a thoughtful, forward-looking vision to lead the city into the future. Lincoln's residents have handed us the baton, or in this metaphor, the conductor's baton. And with it comes the responsibility to conduct from the chambers of City Hall. You can rest assured that our City Hall team is determined to amplify our community's beautiful rhythms and to diminish our dissonances. Because the way we see it, city government at its best helps all of us to coexist and to reach our full human potential. The work of local government is fundamental to freeing people from worries about the basics of city living so that we can pursue opportunities that improve our families' lives and futures. To do this important work well, my administration has devoted time during these early days in office to establishing the vision and the values that define our organizational culture and that guide how we do business. We want to share this vision and these values with you here today at the State of the City to give you a better sense of who we are and what you can expect from us. The administration's vision statement is leading Lincoln towards a more successful, secure, and shared future. Our administration's vision is supported by a set of core values, although the shape and form of these core values might look a little bit different than you'd expect. We had a lot of fun naming our values, and these non-traditional names you're about to see, we think make them easier to remember and to convey the depth of meaning that properly acknowledges the importance of our service to you all. The first of these core values is a Harry Potter reference that some of you may recognize, Lumos Maxima. Lumos Maxima is the spell that creates a bright light at the tip of a wand. Lumos Maxima represents the idea that our work stands proudly in the light of public observation and accountability. This means that we serve the public with integrity and are a force for good in our community, taking responsibility for our actions. Our next core value is loving kindness. Loving kindness represents the ideal that we serve with compassion towards ourselves and others, recognizing that we are interconnected. We understand that everyone faces challenges, and we treat others with warmth and genuine concern for their happiness and well-being. And because so many of us struggle in one way or another, it's important to note that loving kindness starts with ourselves and extends outward. Now, if all of this talk of love and life is making you feel a little soft and squishy, then this next core value is for you. We call it triathlete of the mind. This value to us means that we pursue excellence, leading with vision and developing evidence-based strategies. This value really is about rigor, the rigor required to do our work well. This value encompasses a trilogy of vision, data analysis, and viability. So when we're faced with a new idea or a new proposal, we look at it and ask ourselves, does this idea support our organizational vision, our driving purpose? Does it stand up to rigorous analysis and examination? And pragmatically, can it even be accomplished? Our fourth core value is start the conversation, which means we proactively communicate with others, even when it's hard. We value diverse perspectives and seek to be inclusive. This value, it expresses the premium we place on engaging our diverse community and making it easier for others to communicate with us. And with regard to the especially when it's hard part, We really value authentic, constructive feedback and dialogue. That we know that that means we'll have better working relationships, better practices, and ultimately, better outcomes for our residents. Okay, this next one's a little bit more lighthearted. It's called Free the Fun. And in essence, Free the Fun means we bring enthusiasm and optimism to our work every day. And that's important because we believe our workplace should involve plenty of joyful delight. This reflects the notion that while we take our work very seriously, we don't take ourselves too seriously. The final core value is one we adapted from one of our favorite fictional TV characters, Jed Bartlett of The West Wing. Jed was famous for saying, "What's next?" And to us, what's next means that we celebrate progress with an eye on the next opportunity. We appreciate the value of emergence. So once we've accomplished something we set out to do, we just ask ourselves, we have the attitude, what's next? And as we look to what's next, we do so with humility. We recognize that the right answers might not immediately come into being, but emerge through time, testing, feedback, and reflection. So, what's next? Lincoln is on the cusp of becoming a large city. We are a building crescendo. You might ask, where do we go from here? But you should also ask, where do we choose to go from here? As we lead Lincoln toward a more successful, secure, and shared future, how will we protect our quality of life and the small town spirit that we love about this place? As we grow, how do we ensure that our city grows increasingly resilient and more equitable? Guided by our core values, we have been working diligently at City Hall to develop the strategy that will carry us into the crescendo and beyond. And fundamental to our strategy is that we remain absolutely committed to taking care of the basics. We in local government are uniquely positioned to protect the public safety. We are uniquely positioned to provide the essentials like safe, clean drinking water and to pave the streets that we all travel on to and from work each day. We are uniquely positioned to ensure our residents have clean air to breathe and green spaces to gather and play in. And we are uniquely positioned to maintain our residents' access to books and technology that help them succeed in school and become the kind of lifelong learners that new economic realities demand. At City Hall, we will continue to take care of the basics. This is the steady drumbeat of our work. Yet, we are living in a time when it is not enough simply to take care of the basics. Over the past several years, U.S. cities have generally experienced a decline in well-being, and it's not because investments in public safety or infrastructure have declined. It's because people report that they are experiencing more stress on a daily basis, fewer positive social relationships, and an eroding sense of purpose. These drops in emotional, social, and psychological well-being have occurred even though unemployment has fallen and GDP has risen. Lincoln has not been completely immune to these national trends, which is why it's important that we set our sights higher than merely attending to basic needs. At the same time, it is important to recognize what Lincoln Vital Signs and the Community Health Endowment's Place Matters data have shown us, that there are some members of our community who are faring much worse than others, both in terms of satisfying basic needs and achieving overall well-being. That is why we must keep equity, fairness, and inclusion in the fore as we develop strategies with an eye to the future. As if navigating these challenges weren't enough, our city must also confront one of the greatest threats to our physical security and health, the risks posed by a rapidly changing climate. That is why today, we are unveiling 3 initiatives that, in addition to taking care of the basics, will form the strategic focal points of our administration's work. While we have only been in office for 83 business days or 120 calendar days, but who's counting? We have already identified these initiatives that we intend to develop and drive forward. We want to share them with you now, even though they're still being fine-tuned. Our first initiative is called Lincoln Forward. And Lincoln Forward will focus on leading our city toward a more successful future by creating the conditions that enable our residents to flourish and thrive. Fundamental to this initiative are economic development, workforce development, and ensuring that our residents have access to high-quality, high-paying jobs. Yet Lincoln Forward will encompass more. Lincoln Forward takes a holistic approach to Lincoln's development. As the measure of a thriving person or a thriving city goes beyond economic indicators. Other aspects of human life, like physical and emotional health, social connection, safety, connection to the environment, and educational opportunities, to name a few, must be factored in. We know people are increasingly valuing and flocking to places that emphasize overall well-being. And we know that a large part of what makes Lincoln special is our quality of life. So it's important that we continue to maintain a competitive advantage relative to other communities, and that Lincoln not only counter the prevailing national trend of declining well-being, but reverse it and serve as a beacon to all who seek the good life. We plan to use innovative methodologies to measure well-being, and we intend to involve the community in this effort. The many businesses are doing this work already by consciously attending to the well-being of their employees, and that results in improved productivity. This graph illustrates the differences between an employee who is thriving and an employee who is struggling, with the latter costing companies significantly more in terms of sick days, health-related costs, turnover, and quality control. The same principles that apply here apply to city residents. Thriving residents lead to thriving cities, and that leads to real and sustainable growth. Our next initiative is called One Lincoln. And as we work to ensure the well-being of our community, we know that we're only successful when all of our residents have an opportunity to succeed. We're launching the One Lincoln initiative to promote equity, diversity, and inclusion, both inside City Hall and in the communities that we serve. As Lincoln grows, we will need to continue to foster a sense of welcoming and belonging. Not only is this the right thing to do, but this also promotes our economic growth. One Lincoln will seek to protect and advance the health, safety, economic opportunity, and quality of life for all our residents so that each of us has the ability to reach our full human potential. To do this, we'll build on the inspiring work that's underway in our community, and we will bring together Lincolnites from different neighborhoods and different walks of life. My team will host Mayor's Nights Out, opportunities for anyone in the city to meet with me, to share a concern or an idea, or just to have a conversation. We'll also be meeting with residents where they are by attending community events like Juneteenth, Streets Alive, or the Star City Pride Festival, giving mom hugs and sharing opportunities for how to get involved in our community. These community events, they invite all of us to imagine how we might get involved to help make our city more inclusive and prosperous. Our third initiative is called Resilient Lincoln. The most forward-looking cities across the country are now taking a hard look at how their communities will be affected by the climate of the future. We are proud to say that Lincoln is now one of these forward-looking communities. We face real challenges, like securing our water supply, protecting people and property from increasing flood events, and ensuring our economy can respond and adapt to adverse impacts that may come to the statewide agricultural sector. And that's just a sampling of the climate-related issues we face. Going forward, we will need to harness that Nebraska spirit of self-reliance and resilience in order to operate our city in ways that make us stronger and smarter and better positioned to address the challenges of the future. The Resilient Lincoln Initiative looks at how we can limit our impact on the environment while preparing for more severe weather events in the coming decade. The initiative has two components: a sustainability working group at City Hall, where department representatives will come together to meet regularly to advance sustainability strategies across city government. And the second is a climate action plan. This is a year-long effort to understand Lincoln's unique climate vulnerabilities and to develop strategies to build resilience. We will engage a task force of community leaders who represent a diverse array of expertise and who can build connections and innovate to solve problems that will make our community stronger. We believe that these 3 initiatives represent exciting opportunities to lead Lincoln toward a more successful, secure, and shared future. We believe they accurately and meaningfully reflect our core values and the shared priorities of this community. Lincoln's shared priorities, our community's safety, our determination to build a strong and resilient future for the foundation for the future, and our desire to ensure the good life for all our residents. They are the music of this moment, our moment. They're the magical bridges that bring young sisters together despite tensions, that bring students from across the globe to sing one fight song, that bring businesses together to bang one loud drum, and that bring cultures together to create new layers of harmony. Here in Lincoln, we can acknowledge, respect, and embrace our differences as we collectively compose the lyrics of our shared future. In 100 years, we want our grandchildren's grandchildren to look back at what we did together with pride and gratitude, proud that we made space for all to take part in our prosperity, and grateful for the strong foundation that we laid. I truly believe that we have a responsibility to leave this place better than we found it. And just so we're clear, there is no audience in this production. All of us have to be involved. We all have an instrument to play, a chord to strike, and a clear, loud, powerful voice. All of us need to be involved because all of us are connected by this great and gritty symphony that we call Lincoln, Nebraska. And the music, to my ears, is beautiful.
Now we have here, check out the Spotify playlist. Now that's what the mayor calls Music Volume 1. Mayor Gaylor Baird, we're all glad to be a part of the Gaylor Baird Band. So thank you very much. And as to that remark about you'll never be as cool as your sister Allison, yeah, she's never going to be the mayor of Lincoln. So would you give the mayor another nice round of applause for that vision, please? That's a great message for all of us to think about as we leave the Embassy Suites this morning. I would remind the classes that you were to stay here, according to Brendan, for orientation. Is that what we're doing next for the classes of Leadership Lincoln? Do I have that right, Brendan? All right, so you classes need to stay around because there's an orientation process and an exercise you're going to be going through. So with that, we'll adjourn. This is the part of the program where I say goodbye. So would you all say it with me, please? Goodbye. Have a great day, and thank you for coming. And thank Mick Hale and Leadership Lincoln and everybody involved. Thank you.